the aloha spirit is something that it has to be in you. It's like your transference, the transference of your feelings when you're working with the flowers, and it goes back into when you're doing floral arrangements or going into the yard. Getting your hands dirty in nature, knowing how things grow, talking to your plants, that's all part of the growth and the spirituality that is in you. I was asked by the governor's office, Governor David Ige's office, to create a lei for First Lady Jill Biden, a double dendrobium lei. I thought that for this, in this case, to represent Hawaii, whenever you see an orchid, like an orchid spray, you just immediately associate it with the islands. So I think it's a great ambassador flower. And it's called a lei kui poi poi, which is a round lei that you sew through the center of the orchids. So whenever you're working on something, say like a lei that someone else you're going to give and someone else will be wearing it, you always want to control your thoughts and your feelings while you're doing it, because the transference of your feelings at the time goes into this and then to the person that's wearing it. So for me, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking of Mrs. Biden, and so I just have good feelings about her, and hoping that, you know, there's a lot of aloha when she receives this lei. So cool.
Or she had swept up this stuff and it was over on the side of her by her kitchen door, and I knew exactly that we weren't throwing it away, right? So she's like, here's a bat. I put it in, and she's like, oh, here's some sticks, and look at these ones, beautiful lichen that came out of the tree. Was all
because she knows I'll use it.
Yeah, Debbie's always open to looking at nature with fresh eyes. She is never one to not give something full consideration. When I bring things down to the store from the garden, whether they're dried or fresh cuttings, she's always excited.
The tropical flowers are local flowers. They have more longevity, they have more artful form, but I feel that I'm born and raised here, and you know, we have our way of displaying and designing with our flowers. I've always been drawn to branches and dry products, and you know, just more artistic, combining the two, the tropicals and the foliage. You just have a better understanding of what can go together.
Debbie.
Hey, Al.
Look at some flowers here.
Wow. Oh, look, and pineapple.
Okay. See you. Take care. All right.
Thanks, Al.
Yeah.
Oh, put your hood on.
I was born on this island of Oahu and grew up in Moanaloa Valley. My father is of Hawaiian and Chinese ancestry, and my mom is Japanese. My mom, she sewed And that's where I got my sewing from. She would sew my clothes for me, and she was such a wonderful, wonderful person that I guess that's where we got all of our aloha from, in our mannerisms and in being thoughtful to other people. And my father sacrificed a lot too. He took the night shift during the summers so he could take my brother and I to summer school and whatnot. And that yard that we were fortunate to grow up in Kunawai Lane, we had like 2 common mango trees, a piri mango, lychee, pomegranate. It was amazing. And my popo had a small shrine in the garage. And so all these basic surroundings in our family was the grounding of what was to come. My hula background plays a big part in what we do, and that's how I initially got started in flowers. Hakuleis, kupe'es. We always had to make our own flowers.
And you want to get them all, they get the same size flowers. And what they used to do is they just go like this. Oh, that's kind of fun. And they string it this way. We grew Ilima plants, and at that time, I didn't realize the value of an Ilima Lei. All I knew that it was very labor intensive, because you'd have to pick the flowers, the buds, before the sun comes out. And it would take about at least 800 blossoms for one lei. Which leads me into Auntie Mikey, my hula teacher, hula mama, godmother to my daughter, because I started bringing her Ilima leis. And Auntie Mikey would wear it to Paradise Park where she was having her shows there. And from then on, I would bring her leis. She gave me the Hawaiian name, Hi'ilani no ka Ilima Makamai. And to this day, I still have her note, and it's dated July 18th, 1981. And it means praise for the precious Ilima.
Is this Auntie Nana?
No, Auntie Millie.
Auntie Millie. Millie Ing.
This is Auntie Nana.
This is Auntie Nana. Okay, yeah, I was. Yeah.
So what is hula? Hawaiian dance, So, and this is how I met the most wonderful woman in the world, I would say, Mikey Ayu. Auntie Mikey was already thinking of closing her school in 1970 and marrying Mr. K and not teach anymore. But with what she had, the elder said, Maiki, you cannot just do this. You got to pass this on. This one I met up when she was a teenager. But what her work does shows, for me, I see Mikey's influence in this.
Well, I guess because I only went to Auntie Mikey, I assumed that everybody did what we were doing, not realizing that we were so...
we were structured. It was a school. You came here to learn, and you just don't learn to sway your hips and whatever you call it. You learn the song, you learn who wrote the song and what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes personal. You have to leave it with somebody. But who, right? So even you, Debbie, you're the creator of bouquets and stuff, leis and stuff. But where is Mikey alive? That's the thing.
My husband Warren and his family owns Paradise Park here in Manoa Malka, so we're way in the back of the valley. I needed to have beautiful florals in here, and that's where my dear friend Debbie comes in, because she is the best of the best. When it comes to what has cemented our friendship is our history with Auntie Mikey Ayule. Hula teacher, hula mother, hula everything. But it was Auntie Mikey that really nurtured that sense of flowers, lei, flower arranging, and Debbie. Debbie had Ilima bushes growing in her yard. And she would go out and pick them one at a time, string them one at a time, up to 1,000 flowers per lei. What made her so famous at the time, oh, here comes the Ilima Lady. Another thing that she taught us, which was really important, when you gather in the forest, you take only what you need. You don't take a big patch and yank the whole thing. You pick what you can, so the forest isn't damaged. The forest isn't bruised. So Auntie Mikey knew, she saw that in Debbi. She saw that this was a person who was going to take this. She took it seriously. She knew its value. She was going to carry on these traditions, and she still does.
This is moss that is gathered up at a property up at Pupukea, and it was such an amazing vision. We were foraging through this 52-acre property for a workshop, and you could tell the growth that it was just growing on just the top of the ground, and they were obviously green. This is like about 4 or 5 years old, and even this, it's growing on a piece of bark. Oh, it has roots. That's why I always carry a plastic bag, because you never know what you're going to harvest. This comes apart so easily to work with. It actually looks like carpet, the texture of it. It's so fun. Your mind just goes off trying to create all kinds of different looks.
I met Debbi the year she got inducted into the American Institute of Floral Designers. She lets the flower inspire her, and she knows that you need to bring some other aspects of flowers into it. It can be the style of design, the way you position the flower into the design so it doesn't read as a typical tropical arrangement. It comes off as an exotic or more contemporary design, because the textures are mixed with, certainly it could be very hard, to something soft. Debbi's idea was to always make the mediums work for her and make it not just about the tropical, but about the design she created. Sometimes you walk along nature and you see something that inspires you. You see leaves that may have a different shape because it's been forced to grow one way because something was leaning against it. And the same thing with artists, when they see things that can inspire them, you see beauty not only for what it is, but what it can be.
It all stones like that, it all the papers. Yeah, ready? Say yeah, whatever. See where the palm shoots. This is great medicine right here. I've used it many times. It's all good medicine plants right here. I met Debbi about 5 to 6 years ago. I knew her husband was practicing laulapau. Laulapau is a Hawaiian healing, yeah, with herbs and stuff like that. I just picked up on a lot of her vibrations, that she's looking at her hands and everything about her. We had a long conversation talking to her about life and what she's doing, and because I worked with a lot of plants and how the communication was great. I could relate to everything that she was doing, but the spiritual part was sort of missing.
Remember, you used to test me? You would say, oh, I have these seeds. Can you plant this? And I'd be so nervous because I needed it to grow because you asked me to plant it. And then afterwards you told me, oh, that was a test.
I was looking at the spirit inside the seed, if she would see that, which she did. You know, it's you know, to have that ike, that knowingness, yeah, that third eye. So she grows with 4 or 5 different herbal plants for me. And I know when she gives it to me, this is for people. So I know it's going to work. But as for something, always quality. You know, I already can see her in this. And I guarantee you it's going to help this individual.
During that time of my life was a very difficult time. There was just something spiritual about being drawn to you. When I plant for Roddy, or more so harvest for him, I just have to have positive thoughts. And it's not always that easy because you're thrown with so much adversity in life. You know, it's hard to stay positive all the time. I was working like 24/7. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't eat. My personal life was shot. Then one morning, my foot, the sole of it was numb. The next morning, my other foot turned numb. So we go to Straub, ER. They take me to MRIs, CAT scans, and they send me off with papers saying that I have to see a neurosurgeon, and I have just no strength. But I had this dream, and Roddy and I were in the forest, up on a hillside, was lush green, and they were like stones, stepping stones, and we rolled down this hill. At the base of the hill, he unrolls me, and he says that he has to cure me. And he's talking to something and sends away whatever is attached to me or whatever. And of course I'm ecstatic. I'm like, I can't believe this. Okay. I call Roddy up, and he says, yeah, I'm up here in Makakilo, picking la'au with. I tell him the dream. I'm excited, but you know how Roddy is? He doesn't get excited about anything. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna have him come to the house, and he's gonna massage my feet, and it's gonna heal, right? This is what I'm hoping for. My body literally collapsed. I went through everything under the sun. I had a mini stroke. I had 2 blood transfusions. I had pneumonia. I lost maybe like 25, 30 pounds, lived on inshore, didn't want to eat, and I wasn't getting well. Roddy comes and visits, and I am just totally unresponsive. I think I was a dead person, really. And what hit me the most was when my daughter told me, so Roddy said, I lost my spirit. That was the hardest thing to accept. It was a real difficult time, and for everybody, you know, stress-wise, you know, I couldn't drive. I had a hard time walking. I had developed this incredible knot in my hair because I was bedridden, and it was so hard to start to comb it out. You know, one day I just turned around and said, I told the caregiver, no, I can do this. And that was the turning point. And I don't know how to explain it, but I was slowly getting my spirit back. Drew would pick me up and says, oh, let's go aloha. I said, okay. But that was my first outing. I called Roddy up. You know, we just passed her house and we just wanted to see if you're home. Oh yeah, come. So we stayed over there for a couple hours, just talking. And then just before we were leaving, Drew said, go ask for la'au. You want la'au? I said, oh, Roddy, you have la'au. What is la'au? He goes into his little refrigerator. He brings out this little bag. February 22, Paliuli. I look at that, my eyes got big. I said, Drew, sir, 222. That's when Roddy was up in the mountains and I had that dream and he called. You know, it's just so unreal. The whole pattern, the whole circle of things and the la'au coming back to me. And now it's in my hands. It's not coincidence. So ever since I had the la'au, I've been taking it every single morning. And, you know, my daughter-in-law, my son were just amazed the turnaround that I did. But you have to put your mind to it and have faith that you can do it. I had to protect myself. Nobody else could do it for me. Auntie Mikey always told me, God gives you these journeys so that one day you can help people in that same situation. So everything was like a great healing process for me. I eventually was able to live by myself to slowly gain my independence back. I did some event work in between, and it helped to give me my self-confidence back. I've gone back to work. I go twice a week. I have to keep this tray moist because I want to start to replant Ilima so that I can string leis again. And all of these pots are Ilima seeds, and they actually came out of this dried plant that I have right here. I feel like there's so much to do, to accomplish, and we'll see what I can accomplish. But the main thing is getting the word out about spirituality and how much faith you have in God, in yourself. I feel like I'm up to sharing my story, helping whomever. My whole story, the journey is incredible, and I have to be thankful for it.